Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for tuning back into 6.8.11. Today I want to talk about what it actually means to be paralyzed. So many people associate the word paralyzed with the inability to move your body. But there's so much more that goes into paralysis than just mobility. There's sensation. Your bowels, your bladder, your insides are paralyzed just as much as your outside. So it's very important to understand before I answer the questions of what I got back. I think it's more important to understand exactly what I lost so that when I do answer the question of what have I regained, you understand the capacity of that, because it's a lot more freedom than it may seem. So when I woke up on June 8th, 2011, I was paralyzed from the chest down. And what that meant was I lost complete mobility, complete sensation, bowel, bladder, and actually I lost the feeling of hunger for a while. All things that I think a lot of people don't really realize when you say you're paralyzed. When you're paralyzed, you cannot go to the bathroom on your own. You have to use a catheter, and that bag is attached to your leg, and you're in a wheelchair until you can learn how to do that on your own and understand and regulate that on your own and independently. You have a pee bag strapped to your leg, and everyone can see it. To go number 2, if you will, you have to manually do that. You have to stimulate that on your own, because your bowels are paralyzed. They cannot push what you've consumed through your body. You have to do that through medications and manual stimulation. So I think one of the most powerful quotes my mother, Robin Shawls, has ever said in her life was that if she wished for me to regain anything, it would be my bowel and bladder, because that meant freedom. I wouldn't be constricted. I wouldn't be worrying about if I was going to have an accident in the middle of the day, if I was going to be out with my friends having some drinks and have an accident, if I would lose continence on the subway. All things that are very relevant for someone with a spinal cord injury that doesn't ever regain that. I was fortunate enough to regain my bladder, but I still did not regain my full bowel function. I can control it and I can feel if I have to go, but I cannot go on my own. So it's there's a lot more that goes into paralysis than what it may seem. The next part about paralysis is sensation. The ability to feel your body, not only things touching you and your feet touching the ground, but also, if I were to close my eyes, I would have no idea where my limbs were in space. Proprioception is what that's called. And that is very hard to walk and not have proprioception. Because that means that you have to, 100% of the time, focus on every single one of your steps. Watch every step. Look at your feet. Make sure that they're landing where they're supposed to land. Make sure that my foot is hitting the ground and not my ankle. Make sure that my foot is actually taking the step. Just because my brain is telling me to do that and I have the muscle memory doesn't necessarily mean that that's what my leg is doing, because the spinal cord has impaired signal from the brain to the rest of my body. So it's not 100% of the time that signal can make it through to my legs or to my foot to tell it to take that step. And that's when I trip, and that's when I fall, and that's when I get hurt. So I can't multitask when I'm walking. I can't text and walk, just like people shouldn't be texting and driving. I shouldn't be texting and walking. I can't hold a conversation very well when I'm walking because I'm so focused on my feet and I'm so focused on the ground. When I walk, I have about 50% sensation in my feet. So I can only feel the ground vaguely. And people often ask what that feels like. It feels like it would feel if you were walking on clouds. You have no idea if your foot is fully on the ground, if you made full contact, if your toe hit first and you tripped. It's a constant focus, and as soon as you lose focus, that's when you fall. So if you're ever walking with me or you're trying to hold a conversation or I don't answer a text for a while, I'm probably walking. And for that I apologize, but I can't help it. It's just part of my new normal. And I have to adapt. And if that means putting my phone away for a while or walking in silence with friends for a little bit or tuning you out for a second, I'm sorry. That's just the way of life now. And last is obviously mobility. Every step is a struggle. I think a lot of people think that because I'm walking, I'm cured. And I'm so thankful that I regained the ability to walk, and after I was told I never would, but that still does not mean I'm cured. Everything is labored still. Putting on my shoes is labored. Taking a step is labored. I can't run. My balance is out of whack. I use a cane outside mostly because I want to make other people aware of my imbalance, because if I'm bumped even a little bit, I can fall. But the cane kind of gives everyone a warning signal, like, okay, like, don't just be rude and knock into her when you're trying to get on the subway, even though it still happens in New York City, way of life. But it's just a warning for everyone else, but also a little bit of a security blanket for me. Yes, I can walk without it indoors, but as my mom will attest to, I grab walls a lot. And she notices that because she calls it my paw prints are all over her walls, and she's constantly following me cleaning the wall. But that's how I use my balance, and I wouldn't be able to walk independently if I didn't take that leap of faith and rely on walls instead of a cane, and rely on a cane instead of a walker, and rely on a walker instead of a wheelchair. That's the progress of life. And if I don't take those leaps of faith and I don't leave my paw prints on the walls, then I wouldn't be walking. So I think it's really important to understand that paralysis comes in many shapes, sizes, forms, and doesn't always have the visual magnitude that it actually has. There's so many more struggles that don't meet the eye, and those are some of the biggest struggles. And I get a lot that I'm cured and that I'm doing so great, and I am, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm not cured. I'm still recovering. I do PT every day, and it's still something that I live with every day. I still don't have bowel function. So, that alone is a very scary thought, a very scary thing, to go out in the world every day and hope and pray that my program in the morning worked and that I'm not going to have an accident the rest of the day. So I wanted to get that on the table. I think talking about bowel and bladder might seem gross and disgusting to some people, and I think that's where the vulnerability of this project comes in, is that it's very important to let people know that paralysis is not always what meets the eye. So keep that in mind, and when you see someone in a wheelchair or a cane or a walker, just know that their struggle is so much more than just that piece of equipment or just the way they're walking. And so many people put on that great face, but every day is a struggle and every day is difficult. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to tomorrow, I think we're going to talk about some of the daily challenges that I face, especially living in New York City. I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I certainly am. I think it's good for me as it is for you guys. Feel free to comment any questions you have. I'm going to answer as many as I can. Please subscribe. Please like this. Please share it with everyone. The more people this reaches, the more people I can hopefully impact and bring into my life. So thank you again, and I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.